Another model that's been around since Medarot's early days in 1997 and has been sticking around faithfully and consistently ever since. It is SNA00 Maxsnake, with the kit of triple virus, multi-legs, and the leg ability of Abscond, which passively buffs any equipped part's cooldown stats as a passive bonus on the field. Now, as a model that's available in the Friend Point Gacha, Maxsnake is a model that anyone starting the game or anyone playing longer than, say, a week would probably have very easily collected one or two, or even his entire set just within that first week or month of playing. So he's very easy to obtain, and his skills actually have some very good and notable utility while on the field. Virus on all three parts is an ailment inflicting attack that, upon catching them in their heat phase, will effectively force them into a turn skip phase, which means they have to finish their heat phase, run to the center line, and be forced to do nothing before turning around and starting their cooldown phase. This is honestly a very good method to make use of if you plan to stall turn skipping, say between shock or freeze and then virus, or even bug if you need the variety on top of that. But if anyone on the opposing team is using stat cleanse, it effectively makes the snake type effectively and unfortunately useless on the field. Plus, having it on all three parts does make him a little more of a niche type bot that, while as a pure set may not be super great, perhaps his mixed parts may serve more utility. In the armor department, he is actually packing a pretty decent armor pool, I suppose. Not anything terrible, but also not anything overly tanky either, with a head HP of just shy of 3,200, arms about 2,800 each, and legs at about 3,300. He's kind of on that upper tier, especially as a free bot when it comes to the armor, so he may not be super tanky, but he's definitely a little better than some others. However, even though his mobility stat is actually moderately nice at about 712, and an evade of 891 isn't too bad, his resist stats are kind of all over the place. While he may have a melee resist of 1264, this does mean he can hold himself moderately well up close and personal. A shoot resist of 518 means anything coming from afar is definitely going to take this snake out of the game much faster than you'd really expect, which will very horribly hold him back in terms of overall utility. Plus, as mentioned, anyone that is using stat cleanse effectively makes using Maxsnake on the field entirely useless. Unfortunately, for that being said, for these reasons, I do have to rate Maxsnake about a 5 out of 10. Again, that's not saying that he's bad or has bad specs, because he actually is surprisingly a little better rounded than I initially gave him credit for. But having the same ailment on all three parts does tie in a redundancy issue. Even if the enemy isn't packing stat cleanse, once you can manage to inflict virus, that's kind of it. There really isn't anything else that Maxsnake can do on the field. Even if he can successfully run back and forth and stall a target, that's basically all he does. There's no added bonuses, no conditional damage. That's kind of all he's here for and nothing more. As mixed parts, though, I do have to rate him much higher at a 6 out of 10. So even though his resist stats, like I said, are kind of all over the place, having virus is actually something worth using, though, whether that be as a head or as an arm. The only real drawback in this case is because he is a 1-star model, he is going to be rather expensive to raise. So in favor of other bots that also provide virus, such as, say, Utopian, the Nightmare type, there definitely are much stronger or faster models that can provide the same buff. But if you are a new player just starting out, or if you're a seasoned vet that's looking for something to try for a challenge, Maxsnake is still very solid and relatively dependable on the field as long as he can get in the first hit.